Thank you guys so much for having me. I am super excited to share about pivotal response treatment. And so, let's get started. Thank you, Yab, for giving me a great introduction, and I'm so glad that you were able to go through our program. So, a little bit about pivotal response treatment. PRT was developed by doctors Bob and Lynn Cagle, and lo and behold, Dr. Bob actually was a student of Dr. Ivar Lovaas, who happened to be the developer of discrete trial training, or DTT. I think that's a commonly used therapy methodology for a lot of individuals with autism. And I remember to this day when I was a graduate student of Dr. Cagle, he shared with me when he was a grad student, one of the most challenging things he had to do was going into these mental institutions and delivering shock therapy for kids with autism. And so he said when he was, like in his early 20s, he was giving a shock stick. And they said, oh, if the kids are misbehaving, you just go around and you shock them. You kind of give them an electric shock. And he said that was very horrifying. And he said it was just really hard to implement that. And so he dedicated his entire career in really developing another approach, another methodology utilizing science, science of applied behavior analysis, to help individuals with autism learn important life skills in a very fun, positive manner that guarantees smiles every day. And so there are similarities between PRT and more of the traditional ABA methodologies like DTT, which is that we use the same principles of ABA. So ABA is a scientific methodology, and so we use the same principles. PRT really focuses on a lot of the language. And so, fun fact, PRT is co-developed with Dr. Lynn Cagle, who is a licensed speech therapist. So it's really great because PRT integrates so much of that speech component um, into the therapy model. The main component of PRT is really targeting motivation and implementation in the natural environment. And so the great thing about PRT is instead of having to teach kids every single skill, we target specific areas and we see these monumental gains. So I don't know if this is a great place for you to do a little translation.
Yep, doctor, thank you so much for that. Okay. آه، بناء على اللي شرحته دكتور صاني، هنا البي ار تي البوفيتر ريسبونس تريتمنت تريننج، اللي هي التدريب على الاستجابة المحورية. هي مستمدة من المبادئ لعلم تحليل السلوك التطبيقي، وهي تشبه استراتيجيات تانية بنستخدمها في تحليل السلوك التطبيقي كمان. وكمان كان التدريب على الاستجابة المحورية بيعتمد في الأساس أو من أهدافه دافعية الفرد أو المتعلم، وكمان كطريقة تنفيذه في البيئة الطبيعية للفرد. يعني إحنا بنستغل هنا دافعية الفرد، المبادرة بتاعته، الطالب محتاج يعمل ده. بعد ذلك بنبدأ نشتغل على الأهداف اللي إحنا محددينها من خلال التدريب على الاستجابة الأساسية أو المحورية، لتنمية مهارات زي التواصل، زي التفاعل الاجتماعي. دي كلها نقدر ننميها ونطورها من خلال التدريب على الاستجابة المحورية.
All right.
جود دكتور.
Yeah, so PRT, some fun facts. It's listed as one of top autism treatment models according to the National Research Council. It's one of four scientifically based practices for autism treatment. And this is a little out. There's more than 200 published studies in peer-reviewed journals. So what this just is suggests is that there's a lot of research validating the effectiveness of PRT. And fun fact, I actually recently reviewed a study that they did in Lebanon, and it was talking about training fathers, Lebanese fathers, to implement PRT. And the results of the study was very promising. The fathers that received training in PRT absolutely, they said at first it felt a little weird following some of the PRT methodology, but then once they saw that their kids were developing and their kids were talking, it just made it really worthwhile. So in terms of the effectiveness of PRT, I think it has a really global impact. There's studies coming out from the Middle East, Asian countries. There's a lot of studies from the US. So globally, there's a lot of validation for this methodology.
اوكي this is my part. اوكي الفترة الأخيرة ان التدريب على الاستجابة المحورية بشكل أساسي وبشكل جوهري تم تطبيقه مع الأطفال مشخصين باضطراب طيف التوحد، وكمان من سنة 2005. وبعد كده حوالي أكثر من 200 دراسة تم نشرها بتأكد وبتدعم دور التدريب على الاستجابة المحورية اللي هي البي ار تي في تحسين حياة الأفراد. وكمان الدراسات دي والمراجعات العلمية أكدت على فاعلية التدريب على الاستجابة المحورية في تنمية مهارات الأطفال. حتى كمان دكتور كيم ذكرت أن في دراسة أو في شيء قرأته في الفترة الأخيرة بخصوص تطبيق التدريب على الاستجابة المحورية لبعض الآباء في لبنان هنا في الشرق الأوسط. وكمان إزاي التدريب ده فاد الآباء إن هم يشتغلوا مع أولادهم ويطور من مهاراتهم ويحسن من مهاراتهم وقدراتهم، من مهارات الأطفال يعني. وده شيء يعني مفيد جدا وجميل جدا إن في الشرق الأوسط دراسات وأبحاث بتدعم ده.
Um,
أوكي.
some key components of PRT is family involvement. So we want to make sure families are a part of the therapy. It's important to implement it in the natural environment. And compared to other models, because we have the families involved, it doesn't have to be as intense as traditional methodologies like DTT.
أوكي، كمان من المكونات الأساسية للتدريب على الاستجابة المحورية، أول شيء دعم الأهل وتدريب الأهل، إن الأهل يكونوا موجودين. زي ما حضراتكم عارفين إن إحنا بنشتغل على السوشيال significant behaviors اللي هي السلوكيات ذات الأهمية الاجتماعية للفرد والأسرة والبيئة والمجتمع اللي الطفل عايش فيه. فهنا مهم جدا جدا أول شيء من المكونات إن الأهل يكونوا موجودين وحاضرين التدريب ومتدربين. حتى كمان الدكتورة ذكرت إن الدراسة اللي تمت أو البحث اللي تم في لبنان كان تدريب للآباء، تدريب للآباء على استخدام التدريب التدريب على الاستجابة المحورية. تاني شيء كمان أو تاني عنصر أساسي من المكونات اللي هي التدريب في بيئة الطفل، بيئة الطفل طبيعية. وكمان هنا بنركز أو بنأكد على إن التدريب على الاستجابة المحورية بيكون ساعاته مش كبيرة، يعني بيكون أقل في الساعات، مش زي الدي تي تي اللي هي التعليم بالمحاولات المنفصلة اللي هو تفصيلي ومركز على كل المكونات وكل الأشياء.
So,
أوكي.
so some pivotal behaviors. Research has found that when we teach these kids all of these specific these behaviors, it leads to collateral gains, meaning that they make monumental gains. So today I'm really going to focus on motivation, and maybe in the future I can come back and talk about these other pivotal behaviors. But motivation is a pivotal behavior, responsivity to multiple cues, initiation, self-management, and empathy. These are all things that we want to teach children with autism. And when we teach them, it really allows them to have a pretty functional life.
أوكي. هنا السلوكيات المحورية والاستجابات المحورية اللي احنا بنشتغل عليها مع الأطفال بنركز على الدافعية، الموتيفيشن، دافعية الأطفال، responsitivity to multiple cues اللي هي هنا استجابة الأطفال أو اللي بيتم تدريبهم للإرشادات أو الإشارات المختلفة. يعني حضراتكم هنا لو تركزوا إن هي بتكون زي أو قريبة لتعميم الاستجابة. هنا كمان الانيشيشن اللي هي بيكون المبادرة، السيلف مانجمنت، إدارة الذات. الطفل هنا يقدر يدير سلوكياته في بعض المواقف الاجتماعية. كمان الإمباثي هنا التعاطف ومدى فاعلية الفرد في البيئة الاجتماعية اللي هو بيعيش فيها. وده كله بنقدر نستهدفه من خلال التدريب على الاستجابة المحورية.
All right, so first things first. So before we start, we want to make sure that our kids have pre-attending skills and we want to assess for receptive skills. So a lot of times when I work with kids with autism or when I do an initial assessment, I'll see, are they able to like look at stuff? Are they able to look at pictures? Are they able to, hear directions? And typically a lot of the times the kids I work with, especially like the little ones, like they'll have good receptive skills, meaning that if I said, what do you want? They'll, point to the cookie, or they'll point to like the milk, where they'll grab the parents by their hands and they'll bring the parents to the objects that they want. But a lot of times it's really the verbal communication that they have a challenge with. And so we want to make sure that they have the pre-attending skills, they have the receptive skills. And if they have that, then we can move on. If they don't have these skills, and these are things we need to teach first before we can teach the verbal communication skills. So let's take a look at what this looks like.
Good job. Where is the alligator? Chomp, chomp, chomp. Where's the alligator? Oh, good girl. Where's the bee? Bzz. Where's the bee? Oh, good girl. Next, they turn. Turn the page. Where's the dog? Do you see the doggy? What does a doggy say? Yeah. Where's the elephant? And what does the elephant say? That's a dinosaur. You say dino? No. Where's a fish? Can you say fish? Fish. What about the flower? Flower. Let's count the flowers. 1, 2, 3 flowers. Can you smell the flowers? It smells so good. Next. Yeah. Oh, you see the giraffe? Giraffe has a long neck. That's the goose. Do you see the butterfly? Where's a butterfly? It's over here. Do you see the butterfly, baby?
So in this video, this is my daughter. As you can see, she has good receptive skills, but her speech is, pretty delayed. Just disclaimer, she does not have autism, but she was speech delayed. She was behind with her speech because she's about 18 months in this video. And so at 18 months, we should be hearing some more solid one words. So I, of course, being someone who specializes in PRT and working with kids, I was able to implement PRT, but in terms of her pre-attending skills and receptive skills, she has those. So, we're able to then say, okay, let's really work on the verbal communication. But this is something you would want to initially assess.
Okay. Good girl. Lovely. Yeah. Okay. um, هنا أول شيء نركز عليه ونبدأ بيه، ونركز على مهارات الحضور، اللي هي البري اتندنج سكيلز او مهارات ما قبل الحضور. ان الطفل هنا يكون منتبه لحضرتك، الطفل هنا يكون منتبه للادوات اللي هيستخدمها، مدرك المكان او الادوات اللي بيشتغل بيها بناء على دافعيته ومبادرته. هنا كمان نركز على تقييم الريسبتيف سكيلز اللي هي المهارات الاستقبالية. يعني الطفل هنا بيسمع، بيفهم التعليمات، بيبدأ ينفذ التعليمات دي أو الأسئلة اللي احنا بنديها له، أو الكيوز اللي هي الإرشادات اللي احنا بنشتغل معاه عليها. يبقى في البداية لازم نركز على البري اتندنج سكيلز اللي هي مهارات ما قبل الانتباه او مهارات الحضور. الطفل هنا يكون حاضر، شايف حضرتك، مركز معاك، منتبه للماتيريالز اللي احنا بنستخدمها او اللي عنده دافعية ليها. كمان هنا نركز على تقييم المهارات الاستقبالية، مدى قدرة الطفل على فهم التعليمات وتنفيذها.
Okay. So once they have those skills, then, we can say, great, like, let's really work on the other skills. And so we want to motivate the kids. Oftentimes, for kids with autism, once they're motivated, it's like they are so excited to learn. It makes the therapy fun. And so, how do we motivate kids with autism? Well, if we incorporate these 5 components, usually the motivation is going to be guaranteed. And so, I'll talk about each of these components now. So, let's talk about the first motivational component. Child choice. This is, as the word states, child choice. You allow the child to choose what activities or materials we're going to be using towards in the therapy session. So what this means is we follow the child's lead. Does the child Is he gravitating towards a ball? Is he gravitating towards dinosaurs, books? We kind of allow the child to let guide us in terms of what materials they want to use. And keep in mind that the materials may be constantly changing because, we all, our interests are constantly changing.
اوكي، هنا اول عنصر نركز عليه هو اختيار الطفل. هنا اختيار الطفل يعني الطفل اختار ايه، الطفل هنا عنده دافعية لايه، الطفل عنده مبادرة لايه. يعني في البداية نعرف الأنشطة، الأدوات، العناصر، الحاجات اللي بيحبها الطفل وبيختارها، لأن هنا بنعتبر الطفل هو القائد وإحنا بنشتغل على دافعيته ومبادرته. يعني الطفل أخذ حاجة فحضرتك بتبدأ تشتغل على العناصر أو الأدوات اللي موجودة معاه وهو بيحب يلعب بيها. زي ما شفنا مثلا في الفيديو اللي فات، في قصة البنت بتشوف منتبهة للصور وكده، وبدأت المدربة اللي هي دكتور صاني تشتغل على الصور والحاجات اللي موجودة في القصة أو الكتاب اللي كانت بتشتغل عليه. كمان هنا الماتيريالز، الادوات، الانشطه، زي ما قلت هكرر تاني، الادوات والانشطه اللي هتكون موجوده تكون highly desired by the child. يعني الطفل هنا هو اللي حابب الحاجه دي، الطفل هنا هو اللي رايح لها بالمعنى العام اللي احنا بنقوله. مش انا جايب ادوات وحاططها قدامه وهي دي الادوات اللي احنا هنشتغل عليها، لا، هي دي الادوات للطفل، هو عنده رغبه وعنده دافعيه لان هو يشتغل بيها. ونركز كمان ان اهتمامات الاطفال زي احنا بنقوله، الحاجات اللي بيفضلوها، الحاجات اللي بيحب يلعب بيها، ممكن يلعب بيها شويه وبعدين يرميها ويشوف حاجة تانية. فنركز كمان ونخلي بالنا من إن اهتمامات الأطفال بتكون متغيرة باستمرار، ونشوف إيه اللي بيديله دافعية ومبادرة ونبدأ ندربهم وننمي مهاراتهم بناء على ده.
And I know culturally, this might seem like a very interesting or bizarre concept because, I think in some cultures it's, the teacher, we're the therapist, where the parents are supposed to say, like, this is what the child is going to learn. And in that study that I reviewed, where we trained the fathers in Lebanon, where the authors trained the fathers in Lebanon, the feedback was, the fathers in that study initially said this was a very weird thing to do, is doing child choice, implementing child choice, because, they said in their culture in Lebanon, this is something you don't typically do. You don't let the child tell you what they want to play with, or they don't like say, this is what we're going to base the therapy on based on what the child likes. But I think at the end of the day, if this methodology, if this component is going to get the child excited and get the child talking, I think it's worth trying. So
أوكي، ممكن. يا
go ahead,
يا
translate. Yes.
يا ممكن في بعض الحالات الآباء أو أولياء الأمور، علشان كده بنأكد إن لازم أولياء الأمور يكونوا مشاركين وفاهمين التدريب وفاهمين الاستراتيجية اللي حضرتك هتستخدمها وتطبقها. إنه ممكن العنصر الأول اللي هو child choice، الطفل هنا هو اللي بيختار، يكون طب الطفل هنا لو اختار شيء غير مناسب، طيب كذا، طيب كذا، يكون في بعض ال restrictions، بعض القيود من جهة أولياء الأمور على استخدام التدريب على الاستجابة المحورية. ففي البداية أفضل إن حضرتك أو حضرتك لما هنستخدم الاستراتيجية دي نفهمهم هي إيه، فايدتها إيه، وده كمان بينعكس على فاعليتها مع الطفل. يعني الأب أو الأم هنا في النهاية لما يشوف ابنه بدأ ينطق وبدأ يتكلم وبدأ يطلب وبدأت المهارات التواصل والمهارات الاجتماعية تتحسن عنده، فهيشوف النتيجة فهيبدأ يعرف إن حضرتك شغال صح وإن الطفل استفاد.
And so let's take a little video of this. You'll see me just following his lead and seeing what he wants to play with.
What do you want to play with? What do you want to play with? You want animals? Okay, let's play with the animals. Ooh. What animals do you see? What animals do you want? Oh, what animals do you want? Here you go. What else? Pig. Oh, here you go. Oink, oink. Oink, oink. Pig, I see my pig. Oh, pig. Oink.
So that, simply asking the child, what do you want? And then he can tell you, obviously this little boy is a little bit more verbal, but I will say you'll see a clip of him at the end where he was completely nonverbal when I started with him maybe about 2 years ago. He wasn't talking at all. And so for him, a year later, for him to say, I want pig or lion, like, that's huge improvement.
اوكي، هنا ممكن الطفل يكون عنده ان هو لما بيطلب بيأشر على الشيء، يعني بيشاور عليه، بيمسك ايد حضرتك يوديه ليه، لكن مش بيكون عنده لغة، يعني ما بيكونش عنده كلمات منطوقة. فهنا لما بدأنا التدريب، او لما الدكتور سامي بدأت معاه التدريب قبل سنتين، فحاليا الطفل قادر ان هو يطلع كلمات منطوقة، يعني قادر يتواصل الحاجات اللي هو محتاجها يطلبها لفظيا. وده طبعا في حد ذاته تطور وتحسن كبير جدا للطفل.
Yes. And then here, this is just a picture of me always giving my daughter choices. Do you want this one or this one, right? So again, something that we can easily incorporate.
What do you want?
So when we think about child choice, some of the benefits are it increases motivation to respond. So it's because they want to play with it. So they're more likely to respond to what you ask them. We see increased on-task behavior. They're excited to learn, which I think is so important. And we see less of the problematic behavior because, again, these are the items that the child wants to play with.
اوكي، فايدة العنصر الأول اللي هو إن إحنا نشوف اختيارات الطفل أو اهتمامات الطفل إيه. ده بيدينا يعني نقاط إيجابية كتيرة، أهمها إن ده بيدي للطفل دافعية كبيرة ومبادرة كبيرة إن هو يجاوب أو تكون عنده استجابات صحيحة في الفرص اللي إحنا بنشتغل عليها أو في التدريب. تاني شيء بينمي أو بيزود مهارة اون تاسك بيهيفير، اللي هي اداء المهمه او البقاء على المهمه. الطفل هنا عنده رغبه، الطفل هنا مختار يعمل المهمه دي، فمكمل مع حضرتك المهمه، ما بيكونش فيه سلوكيات زي العناد او الرفض. كمان دي بتزود اهتمام الطفل للتعليم، يعني هو بيبقى مع حضرتك ان هو يتعلم المهارة اللي شغالين عليها، زي مثلا ان هو يطلب الشيء لفظيا، ان هو ينمي مهارة الطلب او مهارات التواصل. فده كله بيكون بناء على دافعيته، بناء على اختياره، فالطفل بيتعلم وهو حابب لده. في المقابل بيقلل المشاكل السلوكية، ده شيء مهم جدا جدا جدا، ان المشاكل السلوكية زي الرفض أو العناد أو عدم اتباع التعليمات كل ده يقل. والتدريب على الاستجابة المحورية بيكون فيه السلوكيات دي أقل.
And so a perfect example I can share with you guys is think about your favorite thing to do. What do you like to do for fun? Is it shopping? Is it watching a movie? And when you're doing your favorite thing that you chose to do, doesn't time go by so fast? Or when you're on holiday, where you're on vacation, it's like, oh my gosh, that 2 weeks goes by so fast. Versus when you're at work, it's like, oh, when's the day gonna end? It seems like it's forever. And so that's the same idea with child choice, right? When you get to do things you like, it's fun, time goes by so fast. And that's the same idea for our kids. When we allow them to choose what toys we're gonna use for the therapy, it's gonna make it a lot more fun and enjoyable.
اوكي، المثال اللي ذكرته هنا الدكتورة مثال واقعي. لما احنا نكون مثلا في عطلة او في اجازة مريحين مرتاحين، ما فيش اي شيء، نحس ان الوقت بيمر بسرعة وان الاشياء اللي احنا بنحبها بنعملها. تمام. على العكس لو احنا بنشتغل وجلسات ويوم طويل ومرهقين، فبنحس ان الوقت بيعدي ببطء ببطء ببطء، وبياخد معانا يعني وقت طويل.
All right, so the next component is task variation. So, task variation is instead of presenting things over and over and over again, because that gets very boring, we want to make sure we change it up. We want to change the demands, we want to change the way we ask the questions, and it really gets rid of that drill type, very robotic type of therapy that more traditional ABA utilizes. And so, we want to present lots of different opportunities. And the goal is when we're working with kids with autism, it's not that we want to train them to sound very robotic, because it's something that I see a lot of times kids with autism will say is like, I want candy, I want book, I want car. And everything they say is, I want something. And it's, I think it's a product of having this drill type format. Versus when we're using the PRT methodology, we don't want to teach them to say, I want for everything, right? We could say, can I have this? It's my turn. I want it. And so we really want to change and mix up the language that they're using. And part of that is also changing up how we're presenting the opportunities for these kids.
العنصر الثاني اللي هي تاسك فاريشن، اللي هي تنوع المهام. أول عنصر إن الأنشطة أو المهام والتعليمات اللي إحنا بنستخدمها مع الأطفال، وحتى كمان نعلمهم الاستجابات تكون بطريقة متنوعة. يعني ما نكونش على نفس الريتم التقليدي في نسق واحد بس، لا، ننوع من الأنشطة، ننوع من التعليمات، حتى كمان نعلمهم استجابات متنوعة. مش بس هنا مثلا أنا عايز عصير، أنا عايز مية، أنا عايز حمام. لا، ممكن اروح الحمام، انا محتاج الحمام، عايز حمام، دلوقتي حمام. الحاجات دي كلها تكون متنوعة ومختلفة. يعني احنا ما نعلمهمش بنسق واحد بس، زي ما قلنا ان هنا يكون في استجابات متنوعة ومختلفة. يعني عندنا استجابة أساسية انا بعلمها للطفل، في استجابات كتيرة متنوعة، وفي فرص كتيرة يقدر هو يرد بيها. يعني مثلا حضرتك علمت الطفل وليكن يغسل ايديه بعد ما ياكل. اوكي، اغسل ايديك، اغسل ايديك، اغسل ايديك، اغسل ايديك. طب لو حد قال له انت هتعمل ايه بعد الاكل؟
Okay.
لازم يكون عارف ان هو هيغسل ايديه.
So here we'll see. So I want you guys to listen to the questions that I'm asking him, right? I'm not asking him, what do you want? What do you want? I'm not repeating my question. I'm changing the questions that I'm asking him. I'm changing those verbal prompts, so that he's exposed to a lot of different language, and he's able to respond to the different types of questions that I'm asking him.
What do you want? Oh, you want all 4 red blocks? Okay, let's count them. 1. There you go. Good counting. What are you making? I'm making. Oh, you're making a snowball? So cool.
So here I said, what do you want? And he said, all 4 blocks. So I reinforced that. And then I asked him, what are you making? So it's a different question. I'm not asking, what do you want? What do you want? Right? So I'm asking different questions. So it's eliminating that drill type format.
اوكي، نفس الفكرة هنا اللي بنأكد عليها، ان احنا مش بنستخدم هنا تعليمات بشكل تقليدي، بشكل نمطي. لا، احنا بننوع، وده بيدي للطفل ان هو بيجذب انتباهه، بيديله دافعية، بيعلمه استجابات تانية، بيعرف التعليمات بطرق مختلفة. فاحنا بنعلمهوش بنسق واحد، لان حضراتكم زي ما حضراتكم عارفين، او اللي احنا بنشتغل عليه، ان الطفل ممكن داخل الثيرابي سيشن في الجلسات انه بس يعرف المهارة. لا، احنا محتاجين ان هو يعمم المهارة ويقدر يستخدمها في البيئة اللي بيعيش فيها.
And so when we do this, it makes the learning fun because the child doesn't know what the next prompt is going to be. And it gets rid of that boredom. I mean, if you imagine if you had to eat the same food every single day, like if you had to eat pizza every single day, you would probably be tired of pizza. And so, when we do the task variation and we mix up the language, the questions that we ask, the prompts that we provide, it really allows the child to listen to what you're asking them and differentiate, and it also keeps the interest and motivation high.
Yep. Doctor, you know what I translated previously? I translated that we are teaching, or we are giving the student only one direction, only one side instructions, and he's giving us only one side or only one direction response, which is not applicable for the natural environment, which is the society we live in. So, variations of responses and stimuli as well, or cues, will be helpful, as you mentioned as well here.
Absolutely, yes. Great.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. هنا نفس الفكرة. الدكتورة هنا بتأكد إن التعليمات، حضرتك بتدي للطفل التعليمات بنفس النسق بنفس النمط. هنا ممكن بعد شوية الطفل يمل، الطفل ما يكونش عنده دافعية. كمان إن إحنا بنديله المعزز هو نفسه 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 نفسه، فبيحصل للطفل هنا إشباع سيشن، خلاص هو مش محتاج ده. تم إشباعه من المعزز. فإحنا هنا لما بنشتغل وبننوع المهام، بننوع التعليمات، بنعلم الطفل استجابات بطريقة مختلفة، وتكون هي يعني معناها أو محتواها الاستجابة الأساسية المحورية اللي احنا شغالين عليها. فده كمان بيدي للطفل يعني مهارات أكتر، وبيقدر يعمم المهارة اللي اتعلمها مع حضرتك أو حضرتك في الجلسة، ويقدر يعملها مع الأهل أو المجتمع في بيئته الطبيعية.
Okay. Third component, this one is probably my favorite, is reinforcing those attempts. So as long as the child is trying really, really hard, we're going to say great job, and we're going to give that reinforcer. And so it's like this looser shaping procedure. So like, for example, if the child wants the ball and you say ball and he says bah, we're still going to give him the ball because he's trying really hard. Now, obviously, if the child is hitting or throwing and screaming, we're not going to reinforce that. But as long as the child is really trying, we're going to say great job, and we're going to encourage that behavior.
العنصر الثالث هنا احنا بنركز على تعزيز المحاولات او تعزيز الفرص الصحيحة اللي الطفل بيقوم فيها. هنا مثلا الطفل بيحاول يوصل للكرة، حضرتك قلت له مثلا تعلمه باستراتيجية التشكيل، أو حضرتك من خلال الموقف ده قلت له به فور، كرة أو حرف الكاف أو المقطع الصوتي الأول من الكلمة. والطفل هنا حاول يقوم بده ويعمل ده، فعززه. يعني التعزيز هنا مهم جدا، لأن هنا بيثبت الطفل وبيديله التعزيز بعد تعلم المهارة أو بعد الاستجابة الصحيحة. وبالتالي كمان بيقلل المشاكل السلوكية اللي ممكن تحصل فيما بعد بسبب يعني قلة أو التأخر في مهارات الطلب أو المهارات اللغوية.
Okay, so let's take a look. So there's a few different ones I wanted to show, but here we'll see one of my daughter. And so she, I think in this one, she's learning colors, and so we'll reinforce some of those attempts.
Okay, let's count. One. Can you say one? Two. And three. Bella, let's do colors now. Okay, ready? You're eating the brown M&M. Can you say more? Okay, hold on. Hold on. Can you show mommy where's the blue M&M? Oh, that's the orange. Where's the blue M&M? Oh, good girl. That's the blue M&M. Oh, and you got the orange. Where's the green M&M? Good girl.
And so there, I'm working on a little bit more the receptive following directions, but I'm still reinforcing those attempts. And then,
أوكي.
oh, I'll show this next one. That's okay. This one, I'm trying to get the boy to do some answering questions and writing. So let's take a look.
Aiden, that's really good job trying to write your name.
No, I don't need it.
Aiden, what does it say? Can you read it?
No reading.
Oh, all done?
I'm done.
Okay, good job coloring.
So I'm trying to get him to write his name, and I don't know if you saw, let me show up here.
Aiden, that's really
So he's just kind of like coloring over it. And I asked him, do you want to write it? And he says, no, all done. And I'm going to reinforce that too. I'm not going to sit there and force him to say more, or, as long as he says, no, I'm all done, I'm going to reinforce that because that's good communicating. And then here we'll actually see him writing his name. His name is Aiden. It does not look like Aiden, but again, I'm going to reinforce his attempt.
And what's next? Good job. And up. Oh, good try.
So again, these are just examples of how we reinforce attempts. It could be with verbal skills, it could be with writing skills, it could be with, counting, coloring, math, it could be with any skill that we're really working on. And as long as the child is trying really hard, we're going to say, great job, reinforce that, and, shape that behavior over time.
Aiden, that
Okay, so
Okay,
yeah, do you want to translate that? I don't know if.
I will do it quick. Okay.
Okay, perfect.
هنا الدكتورة في الفيديوز اللي فاتت كانت بتأكد إن إحنا نحاول نعزز المحاولات الصحيحة، وكمان هنا طريقة الطفل وهو بيعبر عن رفضه، يعني عبر عن رفضه بطريقة صحيحة. all done خلاص، يعني ما ضغطش عليه وما اديهوش مهمة تانية، لأن ده ممكن يسبب مشاكل سلوكية. أوكي دكتور أرضى.
Okay. Here's another example. This little boy that I worked with, he could not do any writing skills. Like his parents were like, we're so worried because he cannot write. And he's like 5 years old. And at 5, most kids will be able to form some letters, but he couldn't write. So what did we do? He loves Peppa Pig, so we started with him coloring Peppa Pig because that's a good foundational skill. And of course he loved coloring Peppa Pig. But as you see how he's holding the marker, he's doing this grip, he's not holding it correctly. But again, in the beginning, we're like, that's great job coloring. We're reinforcing because we want him to have a positive experience. Then the other thing this boy really liked was playing on his iPad. So I said, great. Well, if you want to watch iPad, you just have to write iPad. And this is what he wrote right here. It looks nothing like what I wrote, but I said, great job writing iPad. And he got to watch iPad. And, the confidence started to build. A few weeks later, we went from just writing iPad to now writing, I want iPad, please. And the writing formation is getting a little bit better. Fast forward, now we've moved on from the iPad, and here this is something Mario. I can't really read what he wrote, but he wrote Mario because he really wanted to play with these Mario toys. So he said, if you want to play with a Mario toy, you gotta say, I want Mario, and he wrote something close enough so he got to play with Mario. Other times, there's this chocolate egg that he likes, so he wrote, I want Kinder Joy, and he got this. And then now we're working on storytelling, right? Writing stories. And so he goes, there is a car. The car goes fast in the middle. Finally, something goes around. So after he wrote this story about a car, he got to play with this car toy that he had. The best part was this past Christmas, he wrote a letter to Santa Claus. He wrote, Dear Santa, I want the Mario Hot Wheels track. I was good boy. Thank you. And I think his parents, when they saw him write this letter, they cried because they said they would have never imagined their son, who was like this 6 months ago, not being able to write. 6 months later, he's writing an entire letter to Santa Claus. And sure enough, Santa Claus got this toy for Christmas. But this is the effects of reinforcing attempts. If we had used other methodology, probably he would have learned to write, but would he have been as excited or happy about the writing process? I can't guarantee that. But I can tell you for the 6 months that we worked on the writing, he really liked it. He loved writing because he knew that when he wrote something, he got something really fun out of it. And he understood this is the purpose of writing.
Lovely boy. Yeah, quick translation of the doctor. Okay. هنا حضراتكم شفتوا في بداية الفيديوز اللي عرضتها الدكتور وكمان الأوراق العمل اللي كانت موجودة، طريقة كتابة الولد، يعني شكل الكتابة، الفورم. بس هنا الدكتور أكدت لنا إن إحنا نركز على الوظيفة. يعني هنا الطفل كاتب، واللي مكتوب ده حضرتك تقدر تقراه وتفهمه وتعرف في النهاية هو محتاج إيه أو هو عايز إيه. تمام. وده كله بناء على التعزيز ومحاولات التعزيز اللي في الأول، أكيد في بداية التدريب وفي بداية استخدام التدريب على الاستجابة المحورية. فأكيد المحاولات الأولى مش هتكون زي المحاولة اللي بعدها، أو الجلسة الأولى من التدريب مش هتكون زي الجلسة رقم 5 أو الجلسة رقم 10. تمام. فكل ده في البداية بتكون زي حاجات بسيطة الطفل بيعملها بنعززه عليها، ومن بعدها بنبدأ نبني ثقة، بنبني دافعية. مهم جدا إن الطفل يعني يكون اللي بيعمله أو المهارة اللي بيتعلمها يكون حاببها. وهنا كمان الدكتورة أكدت إن أوكي، هو ممكن يتعلم بطريقة تانية يكتب، بس الطريقة اللي هو بيكتب بيها دي طريقة يعني بالنسبة له طريقة كويسة، طريقة ليها فاعلية، لأنه في النهاية بياخد الحاجة اللي هو عايزها، أو بيعبر عن اللي هو عايز يقوله.
Okay. Okay. So some benefits is it keeps the child excited. It gets that momentum and the confidence. That's one of the things I've noticed, as well as it's well documented in literature. Is a lot of times kids with autism, they don't have that confidence. And I see this, from an anecdotal perspective. I should probably take some data on this. Is that when I first work with my clients, when they talk very quietly. And I think it has to do with the lack of confidence. But as they start developing more language, they're talking louder. At times, they're yelling at me, screaming at me, and I get very excited because that means their confidence has really built up.
فايدة إن إحنا نعزز المحاولات اللي بيعملها الطفل، هنا بيبني البيهيفيرال مومنتم اللي هي الزخم السلوكي، بيعطي الطفل هنا دافعية كبيرة إن هو يشتغل على المهمة والمهارة اللي بيتعلمها. وكمان بتزود عنده آه، الثقة، وبتقلل التوتر أو القلق اللي بيكون عند الأطفال لما بيجوا يكونوا في مواقف اجتماعية أو مهارات التفاعل الاجتماعي.
It's the fourth component, this one is when we intersource maintenance and acquisition. And I think out of the 5 components of PRT, this is probably the hardest one. And so I'll share about this. What this is we want to make sure that we're challenging our kids. But if we just only present challenging tasks, which are these acquisition tasks, they don't want to learn. They're not going to want to learn, which is like us, right? If I am not a chemist, and if I had to read a chemistry book and those were the only books I had to read, I would probably hate reading because chemistry is very hard for me. Versus if I had to read a chemistry book once in a while, I would probably go for it, right? And that's the same concept with our kids. If they're having a hard time talking and we only expect them to talk, it's going to be very challenging. So we want to mix it up. We want to see what can they do, what is easy for them, and present them with the easy tasks. But also maybe every fourth or fifth opportunity, we present them with a little bit more difficult task. And by doing this, we're challenging them, but they don't know that they're being challenged.
أوكي، العنصر الرابع هنا، وزي ما وصفته الدكتورة، هو ده العنصر اللي شوية ممكن يكون صعب أو تريكي. هنا الطفل لما بنيجي نعلمه على المهمة أو المهارة اللي احنا مستهدفينها، مهارة الطلب، التفاعل الاجتماعي، المبادرة، إدارة السلوكيات، كل المهارات دي مهارات مهمة إن الطفل بيتعلمها، أو استجابات احنا محتاجين الطفل يتعلمها. ممكن في البداية الطفل ما يكونش عنده دافعية، الطفل مش حابب يعمل ده. فممكن نستخدم إيه؟ نستخدم مهارات هو عارفها، نستخدم سلوكيات واستجابات بالنسبة له يعني هو متقنها وقادر يعملها. وبعد كده يعني بعد المحاولة الرابعة الخامسة نبدأ ندخل المهارات الجديدة، يعني نستخدم مهارات سهلة وبسيطة بالنسبة للطفل هو قادر يعملها، بحيث إن احنا نبني عنده ثقة، نبني عنده دافعية، نبني عنده الانتقال للمهمة أو المهارة اللي بعدها، ثم نديله المهمة المستهدفة أو السلوك والاستجابات المستهدفة. وبالتالي الموضوع عليه هيكون في شكل منسق ومرتب وسهل كمان، مش إن إحنا بنضغط عليه بالمهارة المستهدفة في البداية على طول.
So here's a look. So here, this boy, I'm obviously trying to expand his verbal communication skills. So ideally, I want him to communicate in a complete sentence. But sometimes if he's going to respond and tell me in 1 word or 2 word phrases, I'll reinforce that because that's easy for him. And then once in a while, I'll make him try to say it in a longer phrase. So this is how I'm mixing that up.
This one? This one? Okay.
Pink.
It's pink, that's right. Ooh, what? Good job. That's a good eye. What color do you want next? Oh, that is black.
Blue.
Say, I'm all done.
Blue.
What do you want next? Here you go.
This is the blue.
What are you writing? Oh, you drew a straight line. Very good. Good job closing the cap. What color do you want next?
Orange.
I.
What's orange?
There you go. Oh, nice line. What's next? Aiden, look, what's next? Oh, you want black again? There you go. Nice. Oopsies. Oopsies. Oh, good drawing. You're doing such a good job. Okay, what's next, bud? Oh, are you drawing a happy face? What's next?
2 eyes.
2 eyes?
And
It's a mouth.
the nose.
Good job. High five.
More paper.
Oh, you got more paper? Okay. There you go. Oh, where's the cap? It's gone. I'll hold it for you.
No, no,
Pen.
no.
Can I have yellow? Aiden.
Forgive me.
Oh, you got me. Okay. Aiden, look. Say, can I have yellow?
Yellow.
Yes, you can have yellow.
Let me see that. I make it go.
What are you going to draw? Oh, you drew
Face now.
a face.
2 eyes.
2 eyes.
No. And the nose.
Good job. High five. What's next?
Orange.
Okay. I'm using orange. Ooh, big circle.
Let me see that. I go to the face now.
Okay, you're drawing the face now. 1.
2.
Oh, eyelash. Oh, I love it. Look at the eyelashes. What about the mouth? What about the nose? Good job, Aiden. That's an awesome face.
Woo.
There you go. Let me go get the cap. Whoa.
Mama, Sissy, bye-bye, Sissy.
Are you all done with this paper?
No, no, you hit me.
Oh, you can say, I'm all done. Aiden, I'm all done. Oh, you want more? Okay. Ooh, circles.
So there you could his comfort is talking in maybe 1 to 2 word phrases. But if I make him say, I like a full sentence every single time, like I want blue, can I have yellow? He's probably gonna get frustrated. Versus here, we are able to have him communicate and tell us, and exponentially his communication skills is improving because now he actually only talks in full sentences. But this is, the effects of therapy, right? If I make him talk to me at this stage in complete sentences from the beginning, it's going to be too hard for him and he's not going to have that confidence. And so benefits are when we intersperse the easy and the hard stuff. Again, it builds that confidence, it gets that momentum going. And as you saw in that video, you didn't really see any tantrums. He wasn't really screaming. He wasn't flopping to the ground. He was responding to my questions. He was asking for things. He was actually initiating some of the things on his own too. So it's that power of motivation because he doesn't realize that what I'm asking him to do is actually hard work. For him, it's fun because he's coloring, he's drawing, and that's what therapy should look like.
هنا من خلال الفيديو اللي فات، الدكتور كان عندها الأهداف اللي شغالة معاها مع الطفل ده. وهنا اللي هي الأهداف، الأسئلة اللي كانت بتسألها له أو طريقة تعبيره عن الرفض بشكل صحيح. فده كله هو بيلون يعني. زي ما ذكرت الدكتورة، بتقول إن هو بيلون، هو مستمتع، هو مهتم، عنده دافعية باللي بيعمله. كمان هنا في ثقة، مفيش هنا نقوله توتر، مفيش هنا مشاكل سلوكية، مفيش هنا مشاكل حسية. وهو الطفل بيجاوبها على الأهداف اللي شغالة عليها. ففي البداية نبدأ بأشياء بسيطة وسهلة، ثم ننتقل للأشياء اللي بعدها الصعبة بطريقة سلسة من غير مشاكل سلوكية.
Okay. And then the last component is natural reinforcer. So we want to make sure that when the child is talking, the reinforcer, what we reward them with, is actually related to that actual object. So if the child says, I want blue, I'm going to give him a blue marker. If the child says, I want chocolate, I'm going to give the child chocolate. I'm not going to give him a sticker. I'm not going to give him an M&M. I'm going to give the child the item that he or she requested and that has a direct relationship with. And by doing this, it actually intrinsically motivates the child and it teaches them the purpose of talking. It teaches them the purpose of, so again, if it's writing, it teaches them the purpose of writing. If it's reading, it teaches them the purpose of reading and so on. So let's take a look at what natural reinforcers look like. Here, again, if the child asks for the red block, I'm going to give him the red block. If he asks for the blue, he's going to get the blue. I'm not going to give him a sticker saying good job, or I'm not going to show him picture cards. It's actually tangible, actual objects that the child wants to play with.
What happened? It fell down. Aiden, what happened? It?
Oh, no.
Good job. It fell down. Aiden, do you want blue or purple?
Oh,
I
it's still purple.
want blue and purple.
Still.
Oh, good job. There you go.
This is blue and purple, so he gets both. And then
What
here
happened?
is a
It
clip.
fell down.
Here's a clip of me this is when my daughter was just learning how to say her first few words. And so you'll notice I'm reinforcing the attempts because she doesn't say it perfectly, but I'm still reinforcing that. And I'm giving her that natural reinforcer of the bubbles, right? Because I'm trying to get her to say bubbles. And so when she says bubbles, she gets the bubbles.
Say more. Gotta say more. Say more. More. Bubble. Yeah, my
Bella, can you use your words? Say bubble.
bubbles. Bubbles. Yeah, bubbles.
Say it, Henry.
Say more. More.
Say it.
Can you say more?
Oh, good job. You want to hold it?
Say no. Say no. Say bubble. Bubble.
Oh, good job. Say bubble.
Good girl.
Good job, Henry. You're so good. Say bubble.
Good girl.
Oh, it didn't go in all the way. Gotta hold it by the handle.
And so I think what's important here too that I want to point out is if I'm saying bubbles and that's not responding, I can try to change the word, right? So maybe it's more, mine. So sometimes, especially the first words, it's the hardest. And so that, that's a whole nother lecture in it of itself, but it's okay to change up the actual word that you might want to try to get them to say. And so when we use natural reinforcers, like I said, it really intrinsically motivates a child. It teaches them this is why they have to engage in these behaviors. And it, again, it improves that relationship of, oh, when I talk or when I engage in these behaviors, good things happen. And it just, again, helps with that motivation piece.
اوكي، هنا قوة التعزيز او التعزيز الطبيعي، ازاي ان الطفل بعد ما بيعمل الاستجابة الصحيحة، بعد ما بيطلب، بعد ما بيكون متفاعل او بيقوم بدوره في الموقف الاجتماعي وبيتفاعل بشكل صحيح، بيلعب بشكل صحيح، بيتعلم بشكل صحيح. الحاجات دي كلها بتاخد التعزيز وراها. والتعزيز مش ان انا بحط له ستيكر على ايده، يعني انت مثلا قلت لي كرة فانا حطيت لك ستيكر قلت لك جود جوب، لا، انا بديك الكرة نفسها. فده كله بيقوي بيعطي قوة او بيقوي العلاقة ما بين الاستجابة الصحيحة والتعزيز. يعني حتى هنا strengthen response reinforce relationship، يعني مدى قوة العلاقة ما بين الاستجابة والمعزز. فهنا قوة التعزيز يعني يعتبر التعزيز هو المحرك الأساسي لعملية التعلم. وحضرتك في الجلسة تقدر الحاجة اللي الطفل بيلعب بيها بيستخدمها، طلبها منك، آم، اتبع الدور، اتبع التعليمات، الحاجات دي كلها بتتم بشكل بناء على دافعية الطفل. وكمان بتزيد من التعميم في أماكن كتيرة أو مع أشخاص تانيين. وفي النهاية كل ده بيدي للطفل ثقة، وبيديله كمان هو يفهم إن السلوكيات اللي بيقوم بيها، الاستجابات الصحيحة اللي بيقوم بيها، في النهاية بتؤدي إلى حاجات كويسة، حاجات هو بيحبها اللي هي المعززات.
Okay. And so other things to consider when we're implementing PRT is we want to make sure that the learning opportunities are very clear. So that means we have the child's attention and, they understand what it is that we ask. And so that's why, again, going back to the pre-attending skills, it's important that they have the ability to have the receptive skills and they're able to attend. Additionally, we want to make sure we have shared control. So if we know kids really like it, we want to make sure we control those objects. And so we can use that to get them to communicate and use their language skills to tell us what it is that they want. Versus if the kid has free, unlimited access, then they're never going to want to talk because they have whatever it is that they want. So these are important considerations.
يعني الأشياء اللي ممكن أو الحاجات اللي نحب إن إحنا نركز عليها أو إن إحنا نحطها في الاعتبار، إن الفرص التعليمية أو المحاولات اللي إحنا نشتغل عليها تكون بالنسبة للطفل واضحة ومفهومة اللغة اللي هنستخدمها، إن الطفل يكون والأخصائي في مستوى بعض، إن الطفل يكون عنده مهارات الانتباه والحضور. كل دي بتؤدي إلى عملية تعلم فيها ثقة، والطفل بيحس فيها براحة، مش بس إن أنا بعلمه المهارة وخلاص، لا، هو كمان بيكون مرتاح وهو بيتعلم، لأن أنا شغال على دافعيته، شغال على المبادرة بتاعته، شغال على الاهتمامات اللي هو بيحبها. وكمان ان احنا يكون الكنترول، التحكم في الجلسه او في المهام او في المهارات اللي احنا بنشتغل عليها، يكون باك تو باك بينك وبين الطفل، مش انا بس بدي التعليمات وبدي الارشادات والطفل لازم يتبعني يتبعني يتبعني. لا، انا لما بدي له حيز وبدي له مساحه، كمان هنا الطفل بيتفاعل وبيتواصل ومهاراته بتتحسن.
Okay. And then, so I want to show you guys a kind of putting it all together. So think of all of the motivational components we talked about: child choice, reinforcing attempts, task variation, interspersing, and natural reinforces. And we're going to see a clip with all of this integrated. This is a really, this was one of my favorite sessions I've ever done. It's with a dad and a son. And this dad, when he first started, he says, I don't believe in any of this. He was very against it. And then, after a few months of seeing how his child is talking and having that ability to connect with his son and have the back and forth interaction, the dad went complete 180 and he was like the best PRT therapist for his son. So let's take a look at this.
No, later. No, you didn't say it right. Don't go with her, please. Oh, blah.
That was perfect.
We're done in the mood. What about the mouse? What does the mouse do? Diddly, diddly, diddly. Diddly, diddly, diddly. And then what happens? Lizard. What does the lizard do? Scared. Who does he scare? Scared. Scare them. That's right. And then he goes, "Bah!" You're such a goof. Such a goof.
Blah. Use a full sentence, Kyle.
Daddy, do it again, okay? You gotta ask me. Lizard do it again. Lizard do it again. I forgot. You're making me laugh. Okay.
Use a full sentence, Kyle.
Lizard, please. Okay. I think it's right here.
So that's like, a special moment because, like I said, this dad initially didn't really want to be part of the therapy, but now he's really implementing it. And, he at one point he goes, "You're making me laugh." And it was just such a nice back and forth interaction that he's able to have with his son. And then I will say PRT was actually featured on a hit show called Super Nanny, where Dr. Lynn Cagle was, a guest star. And so let's take a look at PRT that was aired on national television. Oops.
Make a massive change for this family is to develop Tristan's speech. So Dr. Cagle introduced the communication technique.
Today we started with 3 steps for working on communication. The first one was finding something he likes and something that he likes enough that he's going to try to talk for. Tristan loves the swing, so we use that to provide opportunities for him to say swing. Just push him a little bit and get him involved in the activity, and then stop the swing and say swing.
Okay. Woo! This is the highlight of his day.
So let's stop him and now try to prompt it.
Swing.
The second step is prompting him to talk, and the third is rewarding him for any attempt or any good word. Swing?
Swing? Tristan, swing? You have to say the word 10 times before he'll even try to say it or attempt to say it, and he'll be upset, which that's going to be really hard for me as a mother because he's my baby.
I want him not to swing too much without saying it so he doesn't think.
Yeah. Let's go in the house.
We have to keep giving him opportunities and keep working at him.
Tristan. Cookie? Cookie? You're betraying me,
The important thing is that if he does get upset and is trying other things like crying, that they don't give it to him. The first few words are the hardest. What are you saying? Now look at me. You want to do everything to keep your kids happy, but the only thing is he won't learn to talk that way. We've got to teach him the words to say and that this doesn't work anymore. Because we don't want him to be 21 doing that.
No, definitely not.
Deirdre did a great job. I felt like it was very difficult for her to see him cry. But he has to learn that if he cries, it's not a good way to communicate.
Good. Good.
It's important that he learns that he's got to try to say the word in order to get the item that he wants.
Tickle. Tickle.
That's the first word I think that he said on command. So it was such an exciting moment.
Tickle. I was like, oh my goodness. My son has it in him. And if he has it in him, I am all for bringing out his potential.
got a little frustrated at the beginning, but now he's gonna get it slowly, slowly but surely.
Deirdre put in a lot of effort, and if she continues to put in this hard work, in no time, Tristan's going to be speaking.
And then the very last one I wanted to show you guys, like I said, I would do a before and after. So this is our little boy, Aiden. In the beginning, he was, nonverbal. I'm going to show you kind of the early stages. His mom is really trying to get him to say words, but he's not really talking at this stage.
엄마 해봐. 엄마 해봐. 엄마. Yes, yes. Yes. What?
So that was the extent of his communication. Fast, you guys saw him throughout the, presentation, and then I think a few months ago, he was telling his mom, "I love you, mommy," and that's such a special moment for, the mom to hear that. And so this is him a few years later.
What?
You.
I love you. Can I get a kiss? But can I get a kiss?
No.
And then the very last is him playing a game with his dad where they're actually having this amazing interaction.
Hi, baby shark.
Right here, baby shark right here.
Yeah.
Oh, I got one. Yeah, me too.
They probably need to go
All the way, yeah. Come on, let's go. No hands. No, down there. Up there.
On the shark.
You can try.
Oh my God.
I forgot. Oh no. I forgot Daddy Shark time.
Oh
No cheating. No cheating. No cheating.
no. Yeah. I got two. Baby shark.
Yeah. No cheating. I told you down here. And then you press this one.
And so I think, all of these video examples, I think, kind of capture the power of motivation and the power of using an approach like pivotal response treatment, where, I think for me, it's just seeing the kids so happy, seeing the kids smile and laughing. I think that's so important because we want them to enjoy therapy. We want them to be excited about it. And so, yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Doctor. Wow, lovely.
What?
Sorry. Okay. So with that said, I also wanted to quickly share with you guys a new program that UCSB that I just launched. It's called NDBI. It's a Naturalistic Developmental Behavioral Intervention Program. It's a 4-course program with a total of 120 hours of course content. Upon completing this entire program, and it's self-paced, so you can spend the whole year taking it, or you could do it as quickly as 2 months, depending on how much time you want to put, but it is 120 hours. Once you finish it, you will receive a professional certificate in NDBI. I believe we're the first university offering a professional certificate. And right now it's very affordable because it's priced $100 per course. So it would be a total of $400. If you want to just do 1 or 2 classes, that's totally fine, because after completing each course, you will receive a digital credential. Once you collect 4 of these credentials, then you get a professional certificate from UCSB. So I just wanted to share this with you for anyone that's interested in learning more about NDBI, Naturalistic Developmental Behavioral Intervention. Pivotal response treatment is part of NDBI, so you'll learn more about other methodologies that use NDBI philosophy. Thank you again so much, and I am open for questions. Okay, so I know so we have some questions. I think one question is PRT mostly used to improve communication and language skills? To answer that question, PRT is really used to improve a wide variety of skills. So it could be behavior, communication, language, academics, social skills. Today, I shared a lot of PRT being used to help improve the language and communication skills, because I think the heart of having a functional, independent life is having good communication skills. But we can use these principles to teach kids how to read, how to do math. I mean, one of my clients I was working with, the parents said, he's never going to learn how to read. And I said, well, let's never say never because, their son is 6 years old and he's not reading. And I said, never say never. So we implemented PRT. We did motivational reading and now he's able to read. He can read pretty well. And, we sometimes I love to use PRT as a starting point to teach them the purpose, to make it fun for them. And once they get really good at it, then, we can use other types of techniques and things like that. What another question is, what's the difference between NET and PRT? Naturalistic, I think it's NET is naturalistic. Do you know? I think it's naturalistic
Yeah,
environment.
naturalist environmental teaching. Yeah.
Yes, it's very similar. Again, NET would be part of the NDBI approach. PRT again is considered a naturalistic environmental teaching methodology because we do implement it in the natural environment. It's just that with PRT, we really focus on motivation and some of the other pivotal areas like teaching initiation skills as well as self-management. But today I only covered one out of the five pivotal behaviors. Do we have any other questions? Laura, I think you had a question. I will let you talk and ask your question. If you want, okay. Otherwise, I think we had another person, Lay Ann. I think if you had a question. Let's see.
What kind of data do you collect?
Great question. So it depends on where the child is. So if it's first words, I would probably, when we're teaching first words, the most important thing is building up that vocabulary. So I'll say like, the data that we'll primarily collect is like, can we get them to say about 50 to 100 words independently? Because when they're able to say 50 to 100 words independently, then we see what we call a language explosion, where they're now starting to put 2, 3 words together and formulate sentences and things like that. So that's kind of the data that we would take in the beginning. Sometimes we'll do trial by trial data collection, we'll do duration, frequency. So it's really very similar. It just depends on the specific goals for the child.
Thanks.
Yep. Could you give us more details about your course? Yes, I absolutely can, but let me answer some of the other questions. If the child is not motivated for something, what should we do? Well, if the child isn't motivated, we can always do like a preference assessment or a reinforcer assessment. But usually there's always something that the child is going to want, and sometimes we have to be creative. Sometimes it could be simply being all done with the therapy. And so sometimes the first words my kids learn is bye. They'll say bye, I'll show up and they'll say bye bye. I'm like, oh, great job saying bye. And then I'll walk out, and that's the end of therapy. But what it's taught them is to say, oh, if I talk, I can make things happen, and really teaching them that connection. Other times, it could be, all of their favorite toys are in a room and we close the door and they just have to say open. And when they say open, that door to the magical toy room opens up, and, we can motivate them that way. As you saw in some of the clips, it's not always actual tangible items. Sometimes it's those interactions that our kids really like. Like in the Super Nanny video, the kid, his first word was tickle, right? That's the actual interaction. One of my kids I worked with, we did this intensive training where I thought, man, did I gain some bicep muscles that week, because his favorite thing to do was being spun around. And so we would wrap him up in a blanket and we would spin him around and try doing that for 25 hours. But he was able to say, like, he learned 15 different words from that type of session. He was saying go, more, fast, up. He was able to say these words. He was nonverbal at the start, and then 25 hours later, he's now developed 15 words in his vocabulary. So again, we have to be creative. It's not always actual objects that we give. It could be these interactions. Can we use it with nonverbal kid, like he is using pictures in communication? Yes, I think for PRT, we always want to try to teach the verbal skills first. Some data that we've collected over the years is when we introduce early intervention, obviously, is best prognosis. When we use PRT for kids between 2 to 3, there's about a 95% chance that they'll learn some verbal communication skills. So that's really high odds. When we get them between 3 to 4, it's about 90%, so it drops a little bit. Between 4 to 5, it's about 80% that will get them to have verbal communication skills. But after 5, it drops down to about 20%. So it's not 0%, but it does drop significantly. And so, but again, every child is different. I actually had one girl, she was actually from Saudi Arabia. The mom came here to study with her, and she came to us when she was 9 years old, completely nonverbal. And so she's at that about 20%, range. But 6 months later, she had about 20 words that she was independently saying, and where she was able to verbally communicate. And that's with 6 months of therapy. So, again, I don't want to say it's impossible for anyone because, I think as a therapist, we have to be very optimistic and we have to keep trying. And then for the course, yeah, you can, I will send out a follow-up email with the link for the course if you guys are interested. But the first course is just an introduction to ABA. Then the next course is introducing the different NDBI programs. Our third course looks at the development of children with autism. And then the last course is assessment. So how do we conduct assessments and utilize it from a strength-based, play-based type of assessment skill. So that's like the general topics of the course. Do we have any additional questions? Like I said, thank you guys so much for attending today. I will send a follow-up email. And if you guys are interested, you guys are eligible to receive a certificate of completion of attending this webinar. Oh, we do have one question. How can I effectively identify and prioritize pivotal behaviors for each child when using PRT when they have multiple learning needs? So the pivotal behaviors are pretty set. So like I mentioned earlier, the pivotal behaviors are motivation, initiation, self-management, responsivity to multiple cues, and empathy. So those are usually the 5 areas we want to teach. If the child is very limited verbal or nonverbal, we probably want to teach the initiation and the verbal communication skills, targeting by utilizing their motivation.
Doctor, can we have the presentation
Yes,
document like?
Yes, I'll put this in slides and then you guys will have it for your review as well. All right, thank you guys, everyone.
Okay.
I hope you enjoyed today's presentation and hope to talk to you guys soon.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sani. It's our pleasure to have you, and we hope that it will come and return back again if you have time
Yes,
to
absolutely.
share your experience with us.
Yes. Thank you. Bye,
Thank you
guys.
so much. My appreciation. Thank you so much.